Burgundy and Gold Nation, buckle up, because Dan Quinn just walked into that podium and let it all hang out. Preseason game number 2 is in the books for your Washington Commanders, and folks, this wasn't just some throwaway exhibition chatter. This was Coach Quinn peeling back the curtain on everything. The good, the ugly, and the downright dramatic. We're talking sacks, fumbles, a legit dog-ass competitor comment that had the room buzzing, and a quarterback battle behind Jayden Daniels that is heating up faster than an August afternoon in Landover. So grab your popcorn, hit that subscribe button right now if you haven't already. Seriously, we are on a mission to hit 2,000 subscribers on this channel. And every single one of you clicking that button gets us one step closer, and let's dive headfirst into everything Dan Quinn revealed after this preseason clash. Let's set the scene. The Commanders are deep into training camp, deep into the preseason grind, and everybody wants answers. Is the offensive line finally figuring itself out? Is Jayden Daniels getting enough run without risking the franchise quarterback before Week 1 actually matters? And who is going to be QB2 behind him? Dan Quinn stepped up to the microphones after the game, and instead of giving the usual coach speak nothing burger, he actually got into it. And that, my friends, is exactly why you're here. First things first, offense. Quinn didn't sugarcoat it. He came right out and said there were a few explosive passing plays that got the juices flowing, but on the flip side, the run game left a lot to be desired. And when the man in charge is telling you there's a lot to be desired, you know that's coach speak for we've got real work to do. But it doesn't stop there. Quinn specifically called out the pass protection, particularly in that very first offensive series where things got shaky in a hurry. Now here's where it gets spicy. He broke down exactly what he saw. On the first pass play, pressure came from the interior. On the very next one, pressure off the edge, with the tight ends apparently unable to hold the fort. Quinn even name-checked the culprits, saying it looked like it was on the tight end matchups, though he was quick to admit he wants to go back and actually watch the tape before pointing final fingers. Translation: somebody's getting called into the coach's office this week, and it's probably not going to be a fun conversation. And then, just when you thought it couldn't get worse for that opening drive, Quinn dropped the penalty bomb. Penalties, specifically in the return game, kept pushing this offense backward again and again. Imagine driving down the field, doing the work, and then getting flagged back to your own 10-yard line before you even really got started. That's exactly what happened, and Quinn made it clear this is an area the team has typically excelled in, which makes the sudden slip-up even more frustrating. When you're already fighting an uphill battle with the run game and the pass pro, the last thing you need is your own team shooting itself in the foot with flags. And to put the cherry on top of this chaotic Sunday, Quinn said the third and fourth down execution simply wasn't where he wanted it, on both sides of the ball. Ouch, that's about as honest of a self-evaluation as you're going to get from an NFL head coach standing in front of a room full of cameras. But hold on, because before we go any further, I need you to do me a solid. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We are grinding hard trying to build this channel into the ultimate destination for die-hard Commanders fans, and our goal is simple. 2,000 subscribers. That's it. That's the number. And every single person watching this video right now has the power to help us get there. So smash that subscribe, drop a like, and let's keep this Commanders hype train rolling. Because trust me, there is so much more juicy info coming your way in this one press conference alone. Okay, back to the action. One of the biggest storylines heading into this game was simple: how much was Jayden Daniels actually going to play? Reporters pressed Quinn hard on this, point blank asking if there were any thoughts of pulling Jayden after just one series. And Quinn's answer? Refreshingly direct. He said going in, whether it was going to be 10 plays or 3 plays. That number was locked in before kickoff, and he was sticking to the game plan no matter what happened on the field. That's the kind of disciplined, stick-to-your-guns mentality that can either be praised as steady leadership or questioned depending on how the results shake out, But Quinn wasn't wavering one bit in that press conference. He even added that he's been genuinely pleased with what he's seen from Jayden throughout camp, saying the young quarterback has been slinging it at an excellent level. High praise, but also measured, Quinn's clearly trying to build in real game reps without exposing his franchise cornerstone to unnecessary risk. It's the ultimate preseason balancing act, and by the sound of it, Washington is threading that needle about as carefully as they possibly can. Now here's where things get really interesting: the battle for QB2. Quinn was asked directly about the other two quarterbacks and what he saw from them, not just in this game, but across the last couple weeks of camp. And folks, he did not hold back on the praise. He specifically pointed to some explosive shot plays down the field. One connection to a receiver named Nash, another to a receiver named Bradley. He even gave a shout-out to a nice grab from a player named Williams. Quinn explained that seeing accuracy on those tighter man-to-man matchups was exactly what he wanted to evaluate. Because when you're facing heavy man coverage, those contested, high-difficulty completions are the ones that actually tell you something real about a quarterback's ability. He made it clear there's still plenty to dig into on the film, but the flashes were undeniably there. And then Quinn dropped a stat that should make every Commanders fan sit up a little straighter. He emphasized just how valuable the next practice and the next game are going to be for these backup quarterbacks specifically. Managing the clock, handling pressure they simply don't feel in a normal practice setting, operating in tough in-game scenarios. All of that experience is pure gold heading into the final roster decisions. This QB2 battle is far from over, and if you're not subscribed yet, you are going to miss every twist and turn of this developing quarterback room drama as it plays out over these final preseason weeks. Let's shift over to the trenches, because the offensive line conversation might have been the juiciest part of this entire press conference. Quinn broke down exactly what he saw, and it sounds like the Commanders were basically running an offensive line laboratory out there, testing combination after combination. He specifically praised the first group, Connerly and Cosme, highlighting how well they were playing together and how sharp their communication looked. But then Quinn dropped a name that had everybody perking up, a player he referred to as Sam, who Quinn said might be playing the best football of his career over the last 2 or 3 years, specifically at left tackle. That's a massive statement. Quinn didn't just say he's doing fine, he said this is possibly the best stretch of play from this guy in years. If that's not a headline in itself, I don't know what is. Meanwhile, the center position is apparently still a work in progress, with Quinn openly admitting the coaching staff still has decisions to make there. And it wasn't just one static offensive line rotating in and out. Quinn confirmed multiple combinations got run through the gauntlet, with a player named Wiley getting run at various spots, guys shuffling between left tackle and right tackle, and multiple bodies rotating through at guard. Quinn framed the whole thing as an opportunity showcase, giving as many players as possible a real chance to prove themselves on tape before roster cutdown day comes barreling toward this franchise. Now let's talk defense, because Quinn lit up when this topic came up. Early turnovers were a major storyline, and Quinn didn't hide his excitement. He specifically praised a defender named Meek for making a fantastic play, describing an intense battle for the football as it approached the end zone, with a player named Joseph ultimately coming up with the recovery. Quinn emphasized how much he loved seeing his players fight and dig for extra opportunities like that. It's exactly the kind of competitive edge that turns a good defense into a great one. And he didn't stop there. Quinn also brought up a player named Quan, who apparently also came away with a turnover of his own, and Quinn made it clear that this ball-hawking mentality isn't an accident. It's the direct product of how this coaching staff practices and how they've drilled this mindset into the entire roster all camp long. There's clearly a turnover-hungry culture being built in Washington's defensive room, and if this preseason sample size is any indication, opposing quarterbacks better watch their back this season. But Quinn wasn't just handing out praise, he set the bar even higher for what's coming next. When asked about the defense's takeaways so far this preseason, Quinn got refreshingly specific about what he wants to see translate into the regular season. Forced fumbles, he said, are priority number one. He wants to see players punching at the ball, getting extra shots at it from the second and third defender arriving to the tackle rather than just wrapping up and jogging back to the huddle. Quinn openly acknowledged the tricky mental gap between practicing that instinct and actually executing it in the heat of a real game, where guys sometimes get so locked into the next play call that the extra ball strip opportunity slips right through their fingers, sometimes literally. He wants his players finishing every single tackle all the way through, hunting for that extra chance to rip the ball loose. And it's not just about the fumbles either. Quinn specifically mentioned wanting to track batted passes and pass breakups too, stressing that the actual end result of 2 or 3 turnovers is great, but what really matters to him is the process behind creating those opportunities in the first place. That's a coach thinking bigger picture, building sustainable habits rather than just celebrating box score numbers. It's the kind of mentality that separates good defenses from championship caliber ones, and Quinn seems locked in on building exactly that. All right, real quick, before we get to the rest of this fired-up press conference, this is your middle-of-the-video reminder, and I promise I'll make it quick. If you're enjoying this breakdown, if you want more deep dives into everything happening with your Washington Commanders this season, please hit that subscribe button. We are chasing down 2,000 subscribers, and honestly, we are so close. Every like, every comment, every share helps this channel grow. Helps us bring you more exclusive breakdowns just like this one. So take 2 seconds, smash that button, and let's keep building this Commanders community together. Okay, back to the drama. Now let's talk about the front seven, because Quinn got asked a really pointed question about whether the pass rush is actually generating legitimate pressure on opposing quarterbacks, even with some key pieces missing from the defensive line rotation. And Quinn's answer was fascinating. He broke down the difference between pressure that comes from a guy simply winning his one-on-one matchup versus pressure that's schemed up through stunts and twists. He specifically credited his defensive line coaches, naming Eric Henderson among others, for really digging into the technique with the players, and Quinn said he noticed a tangible step forward in pass rush execution, particularly compared to how things looked in the second half of the first preseason outing, which he admitted had felt sluggish. That's a coach acknowledging a real problem and then giving specific credit for how it's being fixed. And he expects that improvement to keep building heading into the next opportunity. There was also a really fun moment when a reporter asked about a certain player who apparently got the better of things in a physical training camp battle. Quinn's response was pure gold. He said it speaks to the sheer competitive nature of who this player is, adding that he genuinely loves what this guy has brought to the team and loves watching him go head-to-head in these camp battles. And then Quinn dropped the line that's probably going to end up on every highlight reel and clip account by tonight. He flat-out called this player a legit dog-ass competitor. Coaches don't say things like that about just anybody. That's high praise wrapped in some serious personality, and it tells you everything you need to know about how much respect this player has already earned in that locker room. Speaking of standout plays, Quinn also gushed about a spectacular sideline catch made during the game, the one from the receiver named Bradley we mentioned earlier. Quinn described the energy on the sideline as electric, with teammates apparently going wild, shouting in excitement as the play developed. He acknowledged there was actually a foul on the play too, but even with that wrinkle, Quinn said it was just great to see that level of competitive receiver play, the kind of contested, difficult grab that shows a guy truly wants his shot when the ball is in the air. And it wasn't just Bradley getting the love. Quinn made sure to mention that Nash was right there in the mix too, with teammates fired up for both of these young pass catchers stepping up in a big moment. And here's a name to remember. This same player, Bradley, is apparently also making waves on special teams. Quinn confirmed this wasn't some accident either. According to Quinn, this player wanted to return kicks and wanted to be back deep for punts from the very beginning of camp, fully understanding there was a real opportunity to carve out a role on special teams. Quinn praised his competitive spirit, crediting the special teams coaching staff. specifically a coach named Bobby, with developing this player and getting him more involved in the action. Quinn made it clear the coaching staff genuinely likes the direction this young player is headed, and honestly, when your head coach is specifically calling out a special team success story unprompted, that's usually a really good sign that a role player is about to become a legitimate contributor. Before we wrap things up, Quinn touched on a few more pieces worth mentioning. He talked about the transition from the very first preseason game to this one, praising a particular player's conditioning, noting he came into this stretch in excellent shape heading into two brutally tough back-to-back practices that represented the true peak intensity of training camp. Quinn specifically praised the growing vocal leadership and communication on the defensive side of the ball, crediting a player named Durante for handling checks and calls at a noticeably higher level as the week progressed, exactly the kind of veteran command a defense needs heading into a real regular season slate. And finally, there was a great moment about a player named Clayton, who's putting together his second strong preseason showing in a row. When asked if something about this particular team or scheme is allowing him to play more freely, Quinn actually pushed back a little on the premise. He said there isn't really a difference, because this player has simply always had good ball skills and the speed to make plays all over the field. Quinn pointed out this player has real experience at nickel and tends to shine especially at the high safety spot, so seeing him make plays isn't a surprise at all. It's just confirmation of what the coaching staff already believed. Quinn even mentioned this player has been putting in extra work on deep ball tracking and expanding his range across different areas of the field, and closed by saying that if the defense can keep adding more physicality and more ball stripping opportunities into the tackling, the entire unit's ceiling goes even higher. High praise for a player who sounds like he's quietly becoming one of the most versatile pieces on this entire roster. So there you have it, Commanders fans, an absolute treasure trove of information straight from Dan Quinn himself. A quarterback room heating up behind Jayden Daniels, an offensive line still searching for its final identity but showing real signs of individual growth. A defense hungry for turnovers and building the exact kind of competitive ball-hawking culture that wins football games in December and January, and a handful of young playmakers stepping into bigger roles right before our eyes. This preseason stretch has given us a ton to be excited about heading toward the regular season, and you better believe we're going to be tracking every single one of these storylines as camp rolls forward. If you made it this far, first of all, thank you, seriously, from the bottom of my burgundy and gold heart. This channel exists because of fans like you who show up, who watch, who care about this team as much as I do. So here's the final ask, and it's a simple one. Hit that like button right now. Drop a comment down below telling me who you think is winning that backup quarterback battle. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. We are on a mission to hit 2,000 subscribers, and honestly, with your help, we can get there faster than you think. Every subscriber gets us one step closer to bringing even bigger, better, more in-depth Commanders content your way. So don't be shy, subscribe, like, comment, and let's build this community together. Until next time, Commanders fans, let's ride.